Brian Robeson, a 13-year-old boy, travels to visit his father in Canada on a small bush plane. The novel introduces his emotional struggle, particularly his knowledge of his mother's affair, which he silently refers to as the secret. When the pilot suffers a fatal heart attack mid-flight, Brian is left alone in the sky, forced to navigate a situation far beyond his experience. The plane, a symbol of human fragility, foreshadows the unpredictability of nature and the challenges ahead. Brian crash-lands the plane into a remote lake, surviving the ordeal but emerging soaked, injured, and stranded in an unfamiliar wilderness. The crash represents both the physical break from his old life and the start of his transformation as he is thrust into a world that is indifferent to his survival. The lake, which initially feels threatening, becomes a vital source of sustenance and a symbol of renewal. Brian's first night is spent cold, hungry, and terrified, swarmed by mosquitoes and haunted by the eerie sounds of the forest. His fear and disorientation reflect his detachment from the wilderness, which feels foreign and overwhelming. Nature, indifferent to his plight, looms as an untamed force he must confront and adapt to. Realizing the hatchet his mother gave him is his most valuable tool, Brian begins experimenting with it to make fire and shelter. His reliance on the hatchet marks the beginning of his resourcefulness and survival ingenuity, as the tool becomes a symbol of human creativity and adaptation in the face of adversity. After a harrowing encounter with a bear while searching for berries, Brian constructs a secure shelter using branches and rocks. The process not only shields him from the elements and predators but also represents his growing understanding and mastery of the wilderness. Each choice he makes reflects his newfound ability to coexist with nature. Brian learns to catch fish and gathers berries, enduring numerous failures before finally succeeding. His ability to find food transforms the wilderness from a threatening force to one that sustains him, symbolizing his evolving relationship with his environment. At one point, a porcupine enters Brian's shelter, leaving him with painful quills and a new appreciation for the unpredictability of the wild. The attack is a painful lesson in vigilance and respect for nature's creatures, driving home the wilderness's capacity to humble even the most prepared. After persistent effort, Brian successfully creates fire by using his hatchet to strike against a rock, marking a significant turning point in his survival. The fire becomes his protector and companion, a symbol of hope and independence as it transforms the way he interacts with the wilderness. Discovering the crashed plane submerged in the lake, Brian overcomes his fear of diving into the wreckage and retrieves a survival kit. The kit contains tools, food, and an emergency transmitter, representing a blend of human ingenuity and Brian's growing ability to adapt to his environment. A moose unexpectedly attacks Brian while he is near the lake, leaving him battered and reinforcing the reality that survival in the wild requires constant vigilance. The moose, a symbol of nature's dominance, reminds Brian of the raw and uncontrollable power of his environment. A sudden tornado devastates Brian's shelter and scatters his supplies, forcing him to rebuild and adapt once again. The tornado embodies nature's raw power, and Brian's ability to persevere demonstrates his resilience and growing harmony with the environment. Through repeated challenges, Brian matures both emotionally and physically, becoming attuned to the rhythms of the wilderness. His transformation reflects humanity's innate ability to adapt and endure, with his newfound patience and respect for nature symbolizing his deeper connection to the world around him. The emergency transmitter in the survival kit sends a signal that eventually leads to Brian's rescue by a passing pilot. Though relieved to be saved, Brian feels torn between the life he is returning to and the identity he has forged in the wilderness. Back home, Brian reflects on his wilderness experience, realizing it has fundamentally changed his perspective on life. He finds himself yearning for the simplicity and clarity of the wild, where every action had profound purpose and meaning. Brian's survival teaches intense lessons about perseverance, self-reliance, and the power of the human spirit to overcome even the most daunting challenges. The hatchet endures as a symbol of his journey, representing his growth and unbreakable connection to the wilderness that shaped him. Let us know in the comments what books you'd like to see us summarize next. For key insights and themes from the story, see the video description. Happy learning! We will catch you in the next story.